Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to the North America Mania Tournament 2023. And we are now at the final match of the quarterfinals. The entire bracket is shaping up quite nicely with a lot of very exciting matchups for the semifinals, but there's just one spot left up for grabs, and these two on screen are going to be duking it out to see if they can punch their ticket into that semifinals. Of course, it is going to be walmart5193 going against Mitter in our final matchup of the quarterfinals. As always, my name is Sparky, and I'm going to be doing a bit of a solo job today in the commentary booth to wind down this quarterfinals weekend. As you can see on screen, the players are going through their warm-ups. It'll be very interesting to see what the strategies for these two are going to be. I think Walmart is here in their conditional match off the back of a win by default. So no scores on record for them. And I believe Mitter won their match earlier this weekend. So it'll be very interesting to see if any changes to potential strategies will be implemented here. Of course, Walmart, a very physically capable Rice player, but will probably want to stick to the Ellens in this match. And Mitter, of course, basically can say the same thing. It's basically a very hyper-physical Rice-oriented player that has the ability to play Ellens. So two very well-rounded players going up against each other. And we're going to be saying goodbye to one of them once this match is over. So as you can see from these warm-up scores, these two very much going to be neck and neck for long stretches of this match, you would imagine. It's really just going to come down to who can keep that ratio in check and who can maintain that composure just that little bit longer to avoid finding the misses on this pool. So right now, just waiting on that second warm-up to come through. And right now, just waiting for the map to get downloaded. It is a very fast song, 1.5x rate. Oh dear lord. The things these people decide to warm up with sometimes. Alright, it looks like the players are ready. Gonna get into the second warm-up, thankfully relatively short. As we make our way through this warm-up, it's very apparent one player taking it a little bit more seriously than the other. Walmart running the flashlight here. Maybe not wanting to give away too much, maybe not wanting to take this to a point where they might waste stamina. I think if you were to ask them, they'd feel like they were the underdog in this situation. Of course, Mitter on that 4-key Mania World Cup team for the United States last year, so definitely capable of putting up some very high scores in very high pressure situations. So it'll be up to them to be able to carry that weight, lift that burden to make sure they avoid the upset here. Alrighty, and that will do it for the warm-ups here. Players gonna go ahead and roll to determine who the order of the protects, bans, and that all-important first pick. Alright, so the rolls come through. Midder actually winning the roll. 70 is higher than 47. So now the option presents itself. Do they want to protect first or ban first in this instance? I think the popular decision is to protect first, but we have seen some players decide to ban. It looks like Midder is going to decide to protect here in this instance. Wouldn't be surprised to see one of the Rice picks getting protected. I think any of them would work. They wanted to go something straightforward, maybe like Kamiari algorithm or Zenryoku, but it is going to be Fidenity Crisis. Kind of an oddball pick, not very popular this weekend, but maybe going the tech route, something very physically demanding as well, lends itself to their skill sets very nicely. That you do kind of need to strategize against the person that you're playing against. And we see Walmart with the instant LN1 protect and the ban of Rice 5, so Sense not going to be played here. And we might actually get to see Hera played on stream. It's a bit of a rarity, that one. And Midder up to ban now. Would not be surprised if we saw something like Invincible or Angelic Jelly getting knocked out here in response, and it is going to be Invincible, so not wanting to go into the release oriented LN pick of the pool. Unsurprising. And now Midder gonna have the opportunity to pick first in this match. For those of you just joining us this weekend, this is a best of 9. First player to 5 points will be picking up the victory, knocking the loser out of this tournament, and we're going to go straight into Orbital Strike Rice 3. So now hopefully Walmart remembers that they were playing with Flashlight a little bit earlier. Resets their settings to make sure they go into this fully prepared. And the MP start command comes out. Gonna get into this first map. We're officially underway this introduction. Just a bit of an appetizer, but Walmart gonna be finding a very early drop, maybe finding a slider break on one of these LNs. Not the most intrusive LNs in the world, but definitely can prove to be a spot of bother if you are carrying a little bit of nerves. And that's gonna hand Midder a bit of an early advantage here to work with. If there was ever a place to find a miss, it would be before that 400 combo cap. Maybe not the worst spot to drop if you were to find one. Anything after this now will definitely be pretty bad. And as we take a second to take stock of the situation, it is about 0.3% the lead for Midder at the moment. We get into the first real drop of the song. Walmart already starting to climb back up into that 99.6 range, about to touch the 99.7s. to try and contest against Mitter. Mitter right now riding that early miss from Walmart and a bit of accuracy for their score lead overall. Definitely not insurmountable by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely a cushion that they can work with for now, as Walmart finds another break on the flams, transitioning into the back half of the chart, and now is going to start doing some major damage here. We're going to fall down back into that 99.6 range and extend this lead for Mitter at the moment. And as we continue on, Walmart about to cross that 400 combo cap. Okay, we'll stem some of the bleeding here, maybe stop this lead from spiraling too far out of control. There's still about a minute and a half left to go in the song, but Mitter standing strong at that 99.9 range, still third of the chart left to go. And despite those drops, Walmart's still with a pretty respectable accuracy, 99.7 now. Once again, it's the ratio that's keeping them afloat for the moment. It's just those couple of misses that have really put a damper on the score for the moment. As we make our way into the last quarter of the chart, another drop coming through here. A lot of very aggressive bursts to read through. And the accuracy discrepancy is starting to close up just a little bit. Just under 0.2%, but as it was from the early get-go, Mitter still riding on those now two misses from Walmart. So there's really not much Walmart can do to try and make an assault on this lead unless Mitter were to find a drop this late on. But even then, we're already crossing that 950,000 score. Not a lot of points left up for grabs, and it looks like Mitter is going to be able to take their first pick here to make it 1-0. Singular 200 on what was otherwise a V1SS. And of course, seeing it on screen. And it looks like Walmart's going to go the hybrid route here. So hybrid 1 going to be the first pick for them. Another very seldom seen song during this round, at least on stream. Definitely has been played before, but definitely not as popular as some of the other charts in this pool. And Walmart keeping that protect in the back pocket for when needed. Now we begin through this introduction. Walmart finding a very early 200. Not the most damaging thing in the world, but as we wait for the client to keep things in sync here. This is the funniest way I have seen this client break, and I have seen a lot in the last couple of years. Let's see if we can get things synced up here. Ignore all the shenanigans from earlier. Walmart has closed up that accuracy discrepancy from that early 200. Both players now healthily over that 400 combo cap, holding onto their FCs for the moment, 99.8 apiece as we get into the first real chokeable section. A lot of grace notes, a lot of flams on singular hands. Have seen players struggle with this before this weekend, and both players not immune to finding some damage here. 99.6 is a piece. It is within 0.03% right now, going into the second third of the chart. Handling the long jack, handling the burst following thereafter. A chance to take stock of the situation, recompose yourselves. 1500 combo for both players, and they are virtually tied going into the back half of the chart now. Till we continue on, last third left to go. It is too close to call at the moment. Bancho trying to keep everything in sync. We're going to start playing tug of war with this leaderboard as we get into this next section. Pretty straightforward for these two players to read through. Not a lot of real aggressive bursts. Just trying to read through some of these short LNs. Basically jump stream patterns. A couple of jacks thrown in just for good measure. And it looks like they're trading 200s back and forth for every one that Walmart drops. Mitter follows soon thereafter. And right now it looks like Mitter's starting to pull out a bit of a lead here. It's a singular 100th of a % again. Can basically cover both of these players with about a postage stamp at the moment. As we get into the last lever of the chart, Mitter's starting to pull out just a tiny bit of an advantage, but Mitter finds the drop here at the very end of the chart, and that's the break that Walmart needed. It was looking really dicey there. Mitter able to keep it really close for the entire duration of the chart, but it is that singular slip up that is going to give Walmart this point and make it 1-1 now. Oh, those ratios are way too close for comfort. If Mitter had not found that drop, I think it would have come down to that singular 100 from Walmart. But with that being said, Walmart manages to pull through in the end, gets the FC, and notches things up here. And now we wait for the next pick from Mitter. Wouldn't be surprised if they jumped right back up into that top half of the map pool. You can imagine that they have the advantage when it comes to overall comfort on the rice picks in this pool. It's just a matter of which one they want to go into next. Probably not the time to go into Fight Identity Crisis, but can definitely switch things up if they so choose. But it looks like it's going to be Shukasai here. Rice 4 for Mitter. This one's going to be very interesting. Pretty straightforward overall. It does have a couple of spikes here and there that can trip you up if you're not too careful. Gonna take a bit of finger control for both these players as we get underway. Basically broken up hand stream for large portions of this chart. A couple of innate jacks found throughout. And then in the verses, just a couple of really quick snapped bursts to really keep you on your toes. And Walmart, just by finding a very early 200, has recovered very nicely back up into that 99.85 range, but still a 10th behind Mitter at the moment, 99.95, and climbing for them as we continue on into the second quarter of this chart. And as we continue on, still more of the same here. These streams get really awkward to read. Maps change all over the place. Oh, and Walmart gonna be finding the break on the transition into the second third of the chart, and another one too boot here. That one's gonna start doing some real damage, but Mitter trades the miss back here. So no real significant combo for either player to speak of at the moment. Possibly an opportunity for Walmart, but they find a break once again going into the back half of the chart. So in the exchanges, Mitter comes out on top for the moment. Those are some very clean drops from Mitter, only dropping about 0.1% at the moment, made just a singular miss to their name on what has otherwise been a basically V1SS performance. While we're finding another break in this section. And it's quickly slipping out of their hands for now. Last third of the chart still have to go. Anything can still happen, but it would take a number of misses from Mitter in this final section to hand it potentially back over to Walmart. And the accuracy lead has grown to about 0.3%. So the window of opportunity quickly closing as we get into the final section here, and things really do start to kick off. In terms of overall feel of the chart, it really feels like the pace is getting more frenetic as we enter the final sliver of chart. Not much has changed. Mitter still ahead by a significant margin as Walmart finds another break here, another slider break, it looks like. So the damage has already been done. Mitter basically ahead from the offs and able to capitalize, make it 1-2. And so far, both players winning their opening picks. And Walmart wasting no time, gonna go into Angelic Jelly. Has been calling it Angelic Layer basically this entire weekend. I think a sign of what they actually want to play. But we're gonna be going to LN3 now. A foray into the bottom of this map pool. And it looks like both players are already going to get into this fourth map of this best of 9. Walmart still trying to keep parity here, make it 2-2. Mitter trying to take that first break point in this match to really turn up the pressure. Right now, it looks like Walmart's actually going to be taking a bit of an early advantage here. 99.8 for them. Going to find a couple of 200s in the transition. This final burst. And after that, both players very healthily over that 400 combo cap. Both FCs still intact for the moment as we transition into the second quarter of this chart. It is now a 0.02% between the two as we begin the next section. I imagine it's going to be much like that first hybrid that Walmart threw out. It's going to be neck and neck for long durations of this chart. 99.7, 99.7. There's very little, once again, between these two players. And right now, it looks like Mitter might be ahead by basically a singular 200 at the moment. As we get into this last quarter of the chart, Walmart starting to pick up the pace a little bit, finding a 200 out of that section, going into the last key eye. Last quarter of the chart left to go, 99.65, 99.72. The lead is expanding, but Mitter finds a pretty significant accuracy drop, does get traded back by Walmart. A couple of 200s from both players here. And it is once again way too close to call. A photo finish we're looking like as Walmart finds another couple of 200s in this outro. Not traded back by Mitter just yet. And right now, it looks like Mitter has actually done enough this time to take that first breakpoint away from Walmart and make it 1-3. Yeah, big rush of 200s there at the end from Walmart. Going to be their undoing. A very fine margin between the two, about 2,000 points. We continue on. Mitter an opportunity to capitalize on that break point. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw the protect come out here or go into Rice 1 or 2. Or anyway, go into Bead or Hand Stream on that upper side of the Rice pool. And it is going to be Identity Crisis coming out here. So the protect for Mitter to try and capitalize on that breakpoint going to come out. I think some players have coined this as the core jack pick of this pool. Very interesting sections of mini jack anchors found throughout this chart, especially towards the later half. Be interesting to see how these players do on this one. Walmart now needing to take that breakpoint back from Mitter for a chance to restore parity between them. An opportunity for Mitter to make this a match point situation. Very strong starts for both players, nearly inseparable until those first bursts really started to rain down. And Walmart going to find a couple of 200s, going to drop them down about 0.1%, still within catching distance, but this is, you would imagine, Mitter's bread and butter when it comes to those anchors found throughout this chart. Can definitely handle the speedier sections as well. So it'll be up to Walmart to maintain this FCC. I think try and capitalize on any potential mistakes coming out here. But the lead has grown to about 0.2% now, 99.7 to 99.9 for Mitter. As things start to pick up once again. Before slowing down, an opportunity to maybe catch your breath from that early exchange. Second third of the map's now coming through. And similar to Rice 4, things start to slowly pick up steam. And the adrenaline really starts to ramp up here. Mitter finding a bit of an accuracy drop, 99.85 now. Tiny little blip on their radar. But it does shrink this accuracy gap between the two of them. Since both their FCs are still on the board, it's really going to come down to that ratio difference between the two of them. And it is within 0.1% now. But Walmart going to be finding the first drop going into the last third here. Things really haven't even begun to kick off here. Maybe just overthinking some of these patterns, trying to maintain the ratio. And slipping up as a result, going to give Mitter a bit of a healthier cushion to work with. And a second miss to boot on that burst for Walmart, going to make things go from bad to worse here. Down it's at 99.6 range. Both players handling those staircases very nicely. Rolls not catching them out. As we begin this final sliver of chart, things really do start to fly off the rails just a little bit here at the very end. So far, relatively clean performances from both. Walmart the only one finding the drops. There are a couple of 200s as well. Gonna drop down to 99.5 range. Probably out of reach for trying to contest here as the map comes to an end. Mitter successfully capitalizes on that breakpoint to make it a match point situation. Is now 1-4. A very clean run overall. Just that singular 100 and the two 200s for the performance. Probably a 997 in the making, but it is what it is. 20,000 points of difference, and Walmart going to go into LN1 Alrighty, so next pick underway now. Walmart looking to try and stave off elimination for at least one more map. Better looking to try and put a nice little bow on proceedings here on arguably one of the trickiest maps in this pool. It's not the introduction that gets you, it is that final key eye that is just so brutal to read through. The syncopated patterns can really take you for a ride. And I mean, to be fair, just the one-hand trill nature of this song, if you are not very comfortable with trilling for long durations on LNs as well, definitely not for the faint of heart. But these two players looking to be up to the task for now. 99.73, 99.81, Mitter with the accuracy advantage as they cross that 1,000 combo mark. And as we continue on, both FCs still left on the board. Walmart starting to climb in accuracy. 99.74, Mitter starting to fall a little bit. 99.82. As we make our way into the back half of the chart, the patterns do start to get a little bit more technical to read through. A couple of reverse shields just to try and keep you on your toes. But all this has been but an appetizer for what is to come. And Mitter going to find a first drop before the real hard section. These one-handed gallops on the right hand before they transition into the left hand. And it looks like Walmart is keeping it clean for the moment. 99.75, but they find a massive drop in response. And that is going to give the lead right back over to Mitter. That was a significant accuracy drop there at the very end. Last quarter of the chart still left to go. Definitely not out of the woods just yet, but it does get a lot simpler to read through from here on out, and Mitter has recovered very nicely. 99.68 for them, 99.53 for Walmart, and it looks like they had the opportunity, unable to capitalize. And as this chart comes to an end, it will be the end of the line for Walmart, and Mitter punches their ticket into the losers semifinals by a score of 5-1. Those ratios are insanely close. Very well played from Mitter. Commiserations to Walmart. This will be the end of the line for them. Doing very well, putting up a hell of a fight throughout. But that will do it for the quarterfinals round of matches. And all that's left this weekend is to give you guys that semifinals map pool showcase. Will be coming through before the end of the night. But until then, we'll keep you guys posted in Discord for the official time for the semifinals map pool showcase. And until then, have a good one, y'all.